All right, here we are at the inside unit. First thing we got to do is get all these panels off. All right, next thing we got to do is make sure that we turn the power off to the unit. You got two breakers down here on the bottom of the furnace. If you don't feel comfortable or you can't locate those breakers, you'll have two breakers inside your breaker panel. Just make sure that all the power is off to the unit before we get started. Then what we're going to do is pull these filters out, exposing the A-coil. Now we have the A-coil completely exposed. Paul's going to show you how to spray the foam on and get started. This coil cleaner is going to create a foam that's going to push the debris from the inside the coil out to the outside so that we can use the dishwashing brush to remove all the debris. All right, here we go. We've let it set for a little while. I recommend letting it set long enough to where you see the debris and stuff coming out of the coil. Always read the can, and if the can or the chemical, whatever you're using, read the instructions. If it says wait 10 minutes, wait 10 minutes. This particular item doesn't really have a set limit of time they want you to wait. So I recommend letting it kind of dissipate a little bit, and in interim you can spray a little bit of this stuff in the pan. By doing that, what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that this line stays clear, your drain line, because this line will fill up with all the gunk and stuff that comes out of the unit, and if this thing gets clogged up, then it'll flood the pan. It'll drip down in the fan, so on and so forth, getting all over the floor, causing electrical problems, so on, So always make sure you put a little bit in the pan, because this thing's going to need to rinse once we get done. We're going to need to, it's a self-rinsing, so we're going to need to run the unit for 20 minutes. Always read the instructions. This particular item says 20 minutes. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start brushing the unit. It's imperative that you brush starting at the top and working your way down, because what you want to do is you want to start pulling all the debris out of the A-coil that the foam hasn't helped push out. It's pushed it out to the surface, and now it's your time to get it off. And as you can see, this is what we're getting off of that unit. So that stuff was inside that coil, again causing it to not run efficiently and causing it to have problems. All right, I know what you're thinking. What about an updraft system? Well, we have an example of that right here. As you'll notice, a couple of things have changed. Paul now has on a face shield, because we're going to be going down underneath the unit because the airflow is coming in and going up through the vents on the ceiling. Everything's going to stay pretty much the same, except for we're going to have to unrack the filter. Filter's going to drop down. We'll get that old filter out of the way. And then just like on the downflow system, we're going to start as far up in the center as we can reach with the foam. Spray the foam starting at the top, working your way down. And then we're going to start brushing, and we're going to do the same brushing motion. We're going to start as far up as you can reach, and we're going to brush down and pull out, brush down and pull out, getting any debris that's in there out and away from the fins. Keep in mind, again, we're not going to go side to side. We're going to go down from starting as far up as you can reach and go to the bottom, because we don't want to bend those fins over. And then we're going to do, everything else is the same. We're going to do a rinse cycle on, turn the air conditioner on and let it rinse for the 20 minutes or whatever the label says, and so on and so forth. After that, you'll probably have some debris that's down here falling from the coil when you're cleaning. We're going to make sure that we clean all that up with a towel and make it all nice and neat when we go to leave.
And remember that that's the reason I have goggles on and a face shield, because the debris and the coils from the updraft are going to be coming down towards you. So always make sure that you protect your face and your eyes.
All right, Paul's got all the brushing done, so I went ahead and sprayed another good coat of the foam on there just to push out anything else that might be left over from when Paul was brushing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start the rinsing process. Again, this is a self-rinsing foam agent, so the rinsing process really consists of turning on the air conditioner and letting it run for 20 minutes. Now, if read again on your instructions of your product, if it says run for 30 minutes, you got to let it run for 30 minutes, so on and so forth. Always read the instructions on the product. So what we got to do now is we got to turn the power back on to the unit. Then we'll put the pedals back on. And while I'm doing this, Paul's going to run outside and turn the power back on to the outside condenser. We'll get the filters put back on. Also make sure you're paying attention to how your filter's going. There is a right and a wrong way as far as front and back to a filter. As you can see on here, there's an arrow that says airflow. So air to this coil is coming down through and going through this way. It's not coming up. This is a downdraft system. So we got to make sure that that arrow coincides with how the airflow is going through the filter. Once you have your filters racked back in, throw the louver panel back on. Make sure things on good and tight, and let's fire up the unit. All right, so here we are at the thermostat, getting ready to kick this thing on. What you need to do is bring it back on to auto, cool. Then we're going to run the temperature down. So I recommend running the temperature down to around 70 on a nice hot day, because you got to run the unit for about 20 minutes for it to rinse the solution off of the A coil. Now, if it's cooler outside, you may have to turn it down a little further. If it's hotter outside, you may not have to turn it down to 70. But as a rule of thumb, this is generally in the spring. Here in Texas, it gets pretty warm in the spring, so down to 70, it's going to run for about 20 minutes before it kicks itself off. Today, it's kind of cool outside, so we got it down to about 61 because it's 69 degrees in the home. So by the time it drops 5 degrees or 8 degrees, we'll be right there in about 20 minutes, I would assume. So just making sure that it runs the allotted time is very crucial for rinsing of the coil. Now, that kind of concludes where we're at today with preventative maintenance on your HVAC system. We appreciate your time. I hope this saves you time and money in the long run. Thank you guys for watching.